And then what game? It's weird. What is it? Can you see? Well, we're live, by the way.
Oh God, Harper's Tale. Oh, this is Harper's Tale. This is the epilogue. We went through Harper's Tale. We only skipped a couple of the scenarios in the book. Harper's Tale is published by Saturday Morning Scenarios, by Matt Corley. I'm gonna reach out to Matt to find out if he would like me to share with them the maps that I made, because they could use those for their game. Because even though ours has been adapted to Humblewood, the maps should all serve.
Okay, hang on. It's not giving. What the fuck?
So the stream is up and it's working. You just can't put a title on it.
It's just the area to change the title's gone. So it says hub, but there's. Normally when I go live, it says what's the title and then confirm what game and confirm. But
I've just noticed they're all around my grave.
I like how you said that and then your wife came in and kissed you.
Okay, I'm gonna.
What do you mean you just noticed that? You didn't see that before?
No, I
didn't notice that either.
I didn't see the grave and the two swords and the teapot and the stones. I just saw myself in the air. Says that's kind of cool, and that's kind of nice.
Sorry, what episode? What session is this?
Oh, this would be what episode? This would be episode.
25.
Oh, and I was gonna say
episode 20
that
session,
I took the
episode
teapot.
Episode 24.
24.
Oh well, it doesn't have to be on the grave. Yeah.
No, that I took it out of that place.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that should. Did that change?
Oh.
Yeah, there we go.
This is gonna be great, but I
really like I really like the way you made the bird Kieran. It's actually quite good.
Yeah, I wanted it to have a beak and feathery and black wings, so that's what I did. Yeah, so it's I didn't want to just have a raven sitting on a tree, like in the background, because that's too much like what they did in Critical Role.
But it's also the death god has been showing up as ravens.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, literally. It is what it is. But yeah, okay. So, okay, well, yeah. So my name is Richard. I'm running this game, and this is the last session of this game. We're going to be fusing two groups into one going forward, and it's going to be our regular Humblewood game, I guess, starting next week. We have to bridge 6 months of time between the two groups, but that's going to work out. It's never hard to do. So Humblewood is published by Hit Point Press. And once again, this is the end of Harper's Tale. I think ours was a little more cinematic than what was in the scenario book, but it's a good example of what you can do with published scenarios. I don't think I've ever run a published scenario just straight out without making changes. So this one ended up changing a lot by the time I got to the end. So I think it was pretty great, and I look forward to doing another one at some point.
In the original campaign, was it sort of this? The gods are trying to rearrange themselves for a storyline, or is that completely you?
No, not at all. There's none of that whatsoever. Yeah. So in the original storyline, there's sort of a through line, because this was 10 modules that were kind of like glued together by Matt Corley, the publisher, who was raising money for an operation for his daughter, daughter Harper. And so him and her got together and kind of came up with the story for the first session, which was the Welcome to Grove, and you meet the two sisters. And I'm pretty sure that one of the sisters in the book is her, because they have the sister, the ranger sister, Rose or Grace? Rose. Grace is the ranger, I think.
No, Grace is the healery one.
Okay, so yeah, so in the original book they're humans, right? And they're both girls, and I think presumably she has a sister in real life, and so the other one's the sister, more bookish. And so the one sister has colorful, like multicolored hair, colored by a fairy, and the daughter in the photo in the book has multicolored hair. So I presume that's what that is. And then all the other scenarios are written by different writers. And I don't know what the process is for submitting the modules or how that works, how they did it. But like I mentioned, a lot of times a lot of themes are repeated. Like I felt like Grove, being a town on the river, was very similar to Princessport, which is a town on a river. And I feel like thematically you probably should have just had one town to keep it all together. Also the there was a repeat of like funny animals that or funny fake creatures that joined you. There was Sir Cheddar, and then there was a few other ones. There were like 3 different ones. One of them was like a little unicorn. One of them was like a little Cheshire cat. So I think there were 3 or 4 different, very similar type creatures, and so I just kept the same one the whole time, and you guys pretty much ignored them the whole time. So, you know,
Like a good NPC.
Because because you told us here, look, he's like a real thing. He's got like actual powers, and he's a real person. And then he was like, nope, my brain's empty, and I can't do anything unless you tell me to. Oh, okay.
I know, and I'm not good at like managing.
Well, no, because then we have like a super strong wizard accompanying us at all times, and that's a lot too.
It's like in the
Well, that's
gamers.
right.
It's like the paladin in the gamers.
Is he the one who kills the river? You must kill the river. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So there's that. The sleeping sickness kind of like floats in and out, and the party is looking for a cure for the sleeping sickness, but no one seems to be affected by it really. Like nobody in Princess Port are really affected by it.
You cranked it up.
Like sort of like lodged in the middle of all the adventures in the woods, there's like this town adventure in another town. It's a halfling town in the woods with all different characters. And I'm like, God, a third town. And you guys were already rushing headlong towards the end, and it would have broken the momentum to have this murder mystery where there was a flim-flam artist selling fake cures for the sleeping sickness that no one in town was affected by. So, again, I just felt that didn't work too well. Yeah, what else was there? Yeah, so Arpistis was Deng's missing daughter. And Ethor, I changed it to Hethor because I had an H on one of the letters that you guys found. I'm like, oh, I'll use that one. Oh shit, that's not the right letter. Oh, well, man, I'll call him Hethor. So yeah. So the Mavka wasn't a friend of them. The Mavka is actually like a monster in Kobold Press's Tome of Monsters.
Oh, okay.
I think it's a Norse villain, or like if you go to the click on the eye, whatever that's called. What's that called? The compendium, and type Mavka, you'll see they have stats for it.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like a mythological creature. Oh, it's a Viking. I guess it's like a Viking forest spirit or something. Anyway, I don't know. So I just kind of made up like the 3 friends. I thought it'd be cool for them to like be friends when they were young and stuff, and have a love triangle. And my idea was that, and actually this is to honor in the final scenario when the party finally finds in the Cave of Fire, they find Ethor, who he looks just like in the art in the book. He just looks just like Beast from Beauty and the Beast. He's like this big beastly guy. He's been transformed by a curse. And sleeping like on a stone is his lover, Sir Fred or something. And I'm like, what happened to Arpistis? Arpistis is not mentioned ever again. And it's like, and then there's a big fire demon, and you have to like negotiate with him and get him to turn against the fire demon because it's way too powerful for the party to fight. Anyway, so I removed everything, replaced it with like a titanic battle between gods, because that's a theme that I've been thinking about for this game for a while. So I thought, why not do that? So
I thought that the idea of the gods sort of rotating positions was interesting.
And it ties nicely to like where we are now, right? In the present game.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's right. Because in the present game, it turns out that you're finding out. I don't know if you were paying attention when we were playing the game, but it's turning out that the gods, or that what's the I'm just totally blanking.
Kren.
So Kren in the Humblewood campaign, because I have access to like the playtest stuff that the Hit Point Press is putting out that they're going to publish later, because I backed the Kickstarter, and Kren is a villain in a lot of them. Like Kren is like a bad evil god and all this, and the cultists of Kren are really bad murderers and stuff. But my take on it is that Kren is only an evil god because
he drew that lot.
Well, they've been ostracized by the other gods and also by living worshippers. Gods in this pantheon are influenced by their worshippers, and so gods only do, and that's a result of what you guys did by destroying the destroying the overgod's rigid hierarchy pantheon. So, yeah, I'm just trying to think what else.
Anyway, it's like little creatures pantheon. It's designed to be fun and played with.
Yeah, it's kind of like having shareholders, you know. And, you know, like more shareholders. If your shareholders are all evil, well, you'll be evil too, I guess. You know, yeah. So that was it. I felt there weren't a lot of maps in the scenarios, and actually all of the maps in there. I guess I'm not sure if they were public domain, like if they actually hired artists to do the maps, or if they just found maps online that were fair use. Because this is published under the OGL, and there's like accreditation given to the map drawers that are in there. But I don't know when you publish something like this if you have to pay artists, or if they put their maps online with like you know, fair use, or with the
Well, there's always a negotiation part. They probably ask for permission to be used, and if they didn't have enough money, they would not remunerate people that would ask money. They would just keep the one that says, yeah, just use it.
Yeah, so I suspect that these were maps that were intended for, you know, for just this kind of use, for like a Kickstarter, and then to be published. Because I released a couple of the maps that I redid, like of Princess Port and of Grove. In fact, Incarnate uses one of those maps in like one of their things as an example of what cool maps you can make. Well, those maps were copied directly out of the book from, you know, a map maker called Dyson Logos. And but their name didn't appear anywhere on the map, and there was no credit. I couldn't tell who had drawn the map based on the information in the book, so I didn't credit. I credited, you know, the book and the publisher, but not the map drawer, who got really angry when I posted those on Reddit, and so I took them down. So I said sorry, I'll give you credit, sure, and then I'll take them down. But anyway. So going forward after that, any maps that I made based on maps in the book were not the same. I made them slightly different enough that people couldn't say that I ripped off their ideas. So
what are you gonna do? If there's no way of finding out who made the map.
yeah. Also, there was no map of the Neblina Forest. It was just like paragraphs with a random encounter table. Like you had to like randomly encounter shit in the woods until you found the three. Oh, and those three items you were supposed to find were basically in order for you to find the ingredients to make a cure for the sickness. And so visiting the gardener would send you on a quest to find a magic flower, you know, and then things like that. So
that's kind of what I had been expecting.
I'm sorry?
That's what I've been expecting, is a more sort of conventional, fetch quests where we need to fetch the three ingredients to make the potion to cure the thing.
I know, but by then I had already sort of hinted that, you know, the disease could not be cured by mortal means. And so I was like, oh, I can't fetch you to find, you know, and then make alchemy. And anyway, yeah. So we.
You know what? It's always better to rely on plot and story than on dice rolls and skills.
That's true. I like that. That's true.
So that's why I think this ended. I think it played well because you build a story and we adapted to it. And I don't know, but for me, clearly, at the start I was not really involved. But then the fact I was not involved kind of made the whole MO for my character. And at the tail end of it, it became very, very adamant that like there was a journey that was happening there, and then the character had meaning for me. So that's way better than just raising levels and getting skills. Okay, granted, I had a fighter which has basically nothing except get hit and hit stuff.
So yeah, a dex-based fighter with a poor armor class. That's weird. Yeah. So.
No, I was not a dex-based fighter.
Weren't you? Well, you were. Yeah, you didn't
no,
you? Yeah.
No, I was strength.
Okay.
Strength, but I put everything in intelligence and wisdom and dexterity. I always put everything in. I always put everything in. You know what?
It wasn't about optimizing for you. That's fine.
It's never about optimizing. I hate min-maxing. I like field mector.
Gives the cleric something to do.
I was gonna say
It
it's
never
great
ends.
for other people. Yeah.
Yeah. Like just a never-ending, cure palooza.
Yeah, well, let's just put it this way. I'm the cleric in the other group, and I know exactly what you mean, especially playing with Frank. Frank doesn't get hit as much, but always puts him in a situation where he falls down.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, early on in this campaign, Frank's character would rush in, and then would get like eaten by the frog, unconscious in one shot, and then swallowed by the frog. It's like, oh no, we have to pull Wendy out. Oh, her shirt came off. Yeah.
Well, that was one thing that was interesting, was to see, because I hadn't been in a group with a monk before, and I think Frank was definitely discovering this, that the monk is a bit of a marginal class.
I disagree heavily. I think monks are incredibly powerful. Well, maybe not at low level. At low levels, because you don't have the good armor class yet.
Yeah,
Monks can have the best armor class in the game because they get to add their wisdom, and they get to use their wisdom and their dex for armor class. Something like that, and then they can just
But it's also you can do patient defense. You can do stunning strike. It's like you have to bam, stack all your stuff.
Monks are the ultimate redeployable wizard stunners. Like Jesus Christ.
Except we never fought any wizards, so.
No, that's true. But you're still stunning the bad guys is pretty big, right? And they just hit you with hundreds of low damage attacks. So, no, I think monks are definitely not the weakest class.
But what I did find out is in 5th edition, I think there's no really classes that are either way overpowered or way underpowered. What I did notice is that the curve from having trouble survive to become obscenely powerful is it's very fast. Like as soon as you hit 6-7 level, then the whole game changes. At that point, it's hard for the DM because either he gives us something that we've wiped the floor with any big one monster. So the only thing
everybody dies in 1 or 2 rounds, players or monsters, right? Like if the monsters just focus all their attacks on one player, on one character, it's probably going to go down. But I was also giving you pretty good magic items, like very tailored, right? Like the paladin disadvantage to hit is big. The fighter with a constitution boost, that was a lifesaver. Yeah. The cleric had the necklace of prayer beads, which is really big.
No, you fucked up giving me the Grimoire, man.
Oh, no, well, again, it's at higher levels.
My spell save is 19. My spell attack bonus is 11. It's pretty good.
It's not a loss if I make your characters good, So yeah, and even Duff too, right? But I mean, we're finding out. Warlocks with their short rest, recharge, and then kaboom, big spells. But they top out at 10th level because after 10th level, warlocks don't gain. They never go up above 5th level spell slots.
No, that's not true.
Well, they can. They can't cast spells with slots above 5th level. Beyond there, they get to cast higher level spells, but only once per day.
Yeah, that's right.
Once per day each, and they cast them at whatever levels they're at. You can't so they lose that flexibility at higher levels. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, like the paladin is very powerful. For one day. Well, not for one day, but I mean,
for one combat.
Yeah, for like one combat, you can pour a ton of damage, but then you run out of your smites, and a paladin without smites is kind of nerfed.
Oh. Yeah. You're like a fighter.
Well, but a fighter, but without the action surge and the.
Well, you just become a heavy tank with a small gun. Yeah.
That's right.
The action surge is once per
short rest. Yeah.
But it's 2 extra attacks, and these fights last 2 rounds. so
last 2 rounds.
So those 2 extra attacks is pretty big actually. I'm not complaining about the paladin. I actually really liked playing the paladin. I thought it was pretty cool. It was just interesting to me to go from there's sort of this divide in the characters. Now that I've played a few different types of characters, there's the ones that recover stuff on a short rest, and there's the ones that recover stuff on a long rest. And those are quite different categories. I go from a warlock where it's all about short naps or my other character, the fighter. It's all about short naps. And with the paladin, you're like you got these incredibly powerful smites, but you better am I going to need them later on? I don't know. Maybe I can't use them.
But yeah, I mean, like the same thing here. Like the fighter was all about short rest. The cleric is, well, I haven't gone to that level yet. I'm still about the long rest because it's the divine intervention. Then again, my cleric, I play him brutally honest, which has always been fun. Did you burn on the mill? Yeah, we did, sir. Okay.
The one funny thing about the paladin was the ancients, whatever it is, the ancients paladin. They've got this. I don't know if you noticed, but I basically never used the channel divinity. I used it like once to turn demons.
Right.
But the other one, they got this totally useless channel divinity, which is like you can conjure vines to tangle up your enemy or something. But it gets a saving throw, and it's probably just going to save. So and it takes your entire action. So you can. So why would you?
Paladin and Pentod is an Oath of the Ancients Paladin. So I've seen them use the vines and stuff. I'm like, that's weird. I've never done that. So, yeah.
But it just seemed like pretty pointless because I'd lose my attack. I would rather smite you with 5d8 than like.
Well, it's like when you cast Moonbeam. I'm like, you cast Moonbeam instead of just killing a guy? That's weird, And the Moonbeam's like, kind of a weak spell.
But I thought it was going to be better.
But then Catherine used Moonbeam in our game last night, and it's a killer spell, especially if you don't read it right. Because if you don't read it right, you could just move it down a line and hit 50 people with it, and then just keep moving it back and forth, and just hit people 10 times per turn, and just kill them all. But we decided that you can only be hit by it twice in a turn. So, once when you start your turn, and or if it leaves you and comes back to you, So.
Well, I thought it was only once per your turn. I thought.
They don't.
It's only when you start your turn or end your turn. I forget which.
It's if you start your turn in it, or anytime you enter it.
Because the wording is it's once per turn, but your turn takes place during a combat round, in which other people have turns, and so you could be affected by it on your turn, and then once again on the caster's turn, or the caster's turn, for example, if they move it onto you. So they can move it onto you, you get damaged, and then later on, when your turn starts, you get damaged again.
Yep.
It's basically how you do it. You hit someone twice with it.
God damn rules lawyers.
And the villain was a druid in crocodile form, who ran through it because he desperately had to get to the players. He ran through it. When you fail your save against it, it turns you back into your normal form, and you can't get back into an animal until you leave the moonbeam, and then he died. So like 80 hit point crocodile just went back to a druid, and then they murdered him. So embarrassing. Yeah. So Nico, how did you feel about all of about your character and? Because so far in D&D, I think you've played what? You've played a bard. The first character you played was a sorcerer.
Bard, warlock.
It was a dragon sorcerer. Yeah. And then you played a bard in
Dragonborn human sorcerer, Gerbine bard, Vulpin warlock.
And then you played the warlock in this one.
Yeah.
I feel
and
like
my ranger and my Jackie.
Oh yeah, Jackie the Ranger. I feel the common thread in all your characters is you don't play them. Like anyone I've ever seen play characters of those types. So that's exciting. You don't play them conventionally, that's for sure. Like I think it was months before you finally used Eldritch Blast for your.
Yeah. Well, it sucked at first.
Yeah, I mean the Eldritch Blast really comes into its own when you're after 5th level, when you start getting double blasts and the special abilities like pushback and
like once it was doubled, it was brilliant.
Well, like I was saying earlier on, the power curve gain it's not linear. It actually goes, and then suddenly the whole game changes on you, and you're more into epic level gaming at that point. Well, I remember playing in original D&D, like you would hit the epic stuff around 15th level, I think. Well, there's always a big bump at
original D&D you couldn't get to 15th level. I think.
But that's why I think for the DM it's about like if you're playing more of a long-term thing, it's more about like you have to make the battlefield difficult. You have to add like you have to have the big guy and then little ones or a lot of and like
So I
you have
really
to tailor
feel-
it to, you have to tailor it so it's challenging for your players. Like you have to be meta a little, you know.
So I've been making the maps too big, I feel, in the last few battles in this game, where the maps were so big that you guys were kind of like murdering the monsters long before they could get to you. That's just a play thing. And I'm also noticing, like, I'm making more encounters for different games, and it's definitely creatures that just do auto damage are far stronger than their challenge rating would indicate. You know,
I mean, stuff like when we hit and you get burned on this as you get hit and stuff like that, like last time.
like in our hub game, you know, which is the other game that I'm running on Wednesdays. You know, they were doing really well against the party of 3. You know, a druid, a cleric, and a ranger were just doing really well against all the opponents I was throwing at them. So I just this was when I brought in the dragonborn guy, the plate mail dragonborn guy. And
That was
you know, I'm like,
so
his CR was a little high, but I thought he doesn't hit for that much, whatever. So I bring him in there. I'm like, oh, he's got a breath weapon. Wow, okay. You know, everybody takes 18 damage or something. These are like 3rd level characters. They're all kind of like, oh god, I'm on fire. You know, it only recharges on a 5 or 6. 5. You know, 18 damage. Half the party goes down. You know, like it's just, you know, like it's just horrifying.
You didn't kill them all, did you?
No. It was a close thing, and I mean, I'm rolling the dice out in the open, right? So I'm not.
My cleric of Twilight, they have they get one of the channel divinities that they have. There's a bubble, and every turn you get temporary hit points, a d6 plus my cleric level, which is like saves our ass a lot of the time.
So I ruled that people that are dying, if they get hit by damage while they're dying, you get a automatically failed death save, right? But if they have temporary hit points, because they're gaining temporary hit points every turn while they're in this bubble of energy that the Twilight Cleric puts out, if they take damage but it doesn't do enough damage to bring them down to 0 temporary hit points, they don't lose that death save. So I think that's what saved some of the party. And I think he probably could have killed some of the characters in that encounter, but I decided that he was going to run away because he didn't want to. He would have been killed. He was down to. I think he was down to 1 hit point, you know. And he was like, he had his breath weapon. He could have just killed 2 characters, but then died the next round or something. So he ran away, and then the druid, who's an air genasi, turned into a whirlwind, flew over the house and just fucking killed him on the other side of the house, which was a risky move too, because if he had missed. The bad guy had like a high armor class. He had full armor, like armor class 18. If Aiden had missed, that guy could have turned around and just blasted him, and that he would have been all alone against this powerful armor. Anyway, so all I have to say is, monsters that just do auto damage are pretty gross. Like as Alejandro can attest, you know, when you get hit by fire.
But I think that's also why
If you save, you're still taking half damage, right? So they can whittle you down.
Yeah.
once the PC started getting pretty high, that's when the NPCs start having legendary actions all of a sudden,
Right.
and you're like, oh fuck.
Oh, so that's the first time I've ever done legendary actions and legendary saving throws and stuff, and that was hard. I kept forgetting to do it.
Yeah.
It could have been a lot worse because I forgot to do like.
Well, just put it this way: I had 3 legendary actions I could take on every action, so that's with 3 cantrip plus my action, and like that's 4 cantrips around.
Yeah. So
I find D8.
yeah. So I think legendary actions are only supposed to happen when your enemies finish their turn, not when your friends, not when anyone does. So.
Okay.
So I think you probably should only have been doing it when the bad guys were going, but even then you were still.
Yeah, but there's 3 guys acting.
Yeah.
At that point we had 3 guys still fighting, so.
Yeah. So there is that. All right. So why don't we talk about what's happening here? Yeah. So you did all of that. I'm just gonna bring this down here.
So are we going to be going to the other game and our characters and everything are still there?
No, so I'm going to do the epilogue tonight, and we can talk about what your characters do if they retire, what they do in the world, and things like that. Then I'm going to kind of fast forward. I've decided that this game took place 332 years before, because by coincidence, the current year in the regular game is 333. And so it's like 333 after what? I just made up that number. So it's 333 after the great reorganization of the Pantheon. So
The great reorg.
yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah. Gesmi, demoted themselves to god of knowledge. So
God of knowledge and inspiration.
Yeah, so after the bad guy falls, Gesmi comes by and gives you a few words of wisdom, whatever. You realize that it's over and it's done, and the fires are still burning in this cavern. You wonder how much time has passed outside. I'm just gonna change to a different song that doesn't have accordion music. Let's just do this one. Okay, so you look around, you take stock, and Xian is lying there dead. You pick him up, and he is very light. He's almost like a bundle of sticks and feathers in some brightly colored armor. Like when you pick him up, his teapot kind of rolls off to the side.
So he's like right there.
Yeah, so you emerge from the fiery cave onto a mountainside in the full sunlight of a warm autumn morning. The forest down below is green and deep, and a flowery meadow leads to dark paths below. Gone are the strange clearings that led up to the mountain to this place. You can see clear across the Neblina Forest. Like you're just looking across. It's like the Neblina Forest is like a valley between mountains. If you look at the big map, and way across the other side, lost in the distance, you can see the mountains rising, and you can almost see, like 100 miles away, through some magnifying effect of the magical forest, the monastery of the Four Winds on the other side there. So you bury Xian in a quiet spot under some hardy mountain pines. Flowers bloom as you say a few words. Does anyone want to say a few words?
I'll read whatever clerical rites that I have.
Like just very mechanically, like unfeelingly, like.
Well, I kind of have to do it. Like it's kind of like I kind of have to. It's my job.
Okay. All right. So you say a few words. Me, mine, tractor, boxcars, Winter Soldier. So there seem to be an unusually large number of crows, ravens, magpies, and blue jays in attendance, like all perched in the trees overlooking. Not long after the funeral rite, you hear a steam engine, and the Nanta Ramban dirigible rises from the forest below.
My girlfriend!
Crewed by an excited bunch of Mapaks. Daffodil is there, excited to see you all. The dirigible kind of lands. What's that?
Excited to see us all.
Yes, she's excited to see you all. Also, everyone else. Yeah.
Oh, well, okay. So I get it.
Azaban is there too, Xian's friend, and she's looking around to see where Xian is, and then she sees the grave, and she looks sad.
Oh.
And so she leaves a gift on the grave, and she, she says. So she asks what happened, and
what's the gift?
It's a small copper container. She says, "Oh, I made him a brush. This is an ink and brush case for when he does his scrolls in the morning.
Did his scrolls?
I guess he won't need them anymore."
So where did Rainbow Sparkle Dash disappear to? Flying around in the air? Or?
Oh, Rainbow Sparkle Dash kind of like. Oh yeah, I guess. Do you have any words, Xian, before you leave? Gesmi
like
kind of
having your funeral.
After the fight, when Gesmi returned and gave you the information she gave you last time, she kind of like expects you to go with her.
Yep. Well, basically, before I leave, I just say it was an honor to have shared this piece of road with you, and well, that's it. You will never be forgotten. Like I always say, the past is meaningless, but memories are to be cherished.
Aww.
Very touching. You've been a good companion there, You'll be sorely missed.
I won't be missed. I'll be around.
I won't be there to heal you anymore, so just be more careful.
Yeah, and so you know, Jian goes away. So so she just Azaban just leaves the gift on the grave, and she looks very sad, and she kind of, you know, if you tell her the tale of what happened, she's kind of you know.
We're like, no, he's not. I mean, he's over there. He's flying away. Yep. There he goes.
She looks up at the crows and magpies and all the other corvums that are up in the trees. Yeah. Okay, so we'll skip over Wendy because Wendy's not here. So the Nantarombans will tell you that people have started waking up. You guys have been gone for several weeks. You know, they managed to repair the dirigible. People are starting to wake up. It seems that the sickness has ended. Very, very few people have died.
Did Daphne lose some of her roundness?
Why? Because she was sick and.
Because I'm a chunky skunk, so I kind of have to have a chunky partner.
She didn't lose her. Well, she's the same. She's however she was before. She's the same now.
Okay, well,
you know? She's just a healthy young raccoon. Yeah. We can kind of go over your different characters. So, well, Theos, why don't we start with you? So,
Okay.
Theos, what do you do in the short term and in the middle term, and how do you live your life? Do you remain a cleric, or do you leave? I assume you never stop asking questions.
Yeah. I think she stays a cleric. She probably doesn't take any more levels into cleric. She probably takes more levels into wizard at this point. Like, I could still use knowledge as power, but not the same way. And it's important that there's a distinction that, like, the gods can give us power, but they're not, like, more important. They don't know better. Like, they're just fucking assholes sitting up there.
Not the boss of you.
Kind of, and I guess I go home first. I asked Daffodil if she wants to accompany me in my travels or if she needs to stay. My girlfriend.
Yeah, I thought you'd never ask. Yes, let's go.
Well, I'm not the one who said that you were glad to see us all, Daffodil.
Stupid dungeon master said that, not me.
So she comes with us. I go home. Is everybody dead or cool?
Well, you could message them. You
I'll
find
go
out
home.
you find out in very short order that your family are still alive. It seems that everything that happened on the hill slope coming up was like a twisted dream.
I knew it.
Yeah. So
I think one of the things that Theos would want to do is go wherever Jian comes from and go tell them, like, what he accomplished, and basically that, like, they're assholes, and that in not so many words.
Okay. All right. So your family as well. Your little sisters particularly are anxious to leave and go to school as you did. Your mother's proud of you.
Maybe you should go to wizard school instead of a cleric school there, kiddos.
Okay. Yay, wizard school.
Yeah, wizards are so cool. And then I think I would probably spend the rest of my life trying to spread the word, that, we don't need the gods. We could be just fine without them.
We don't need the gods, they need us.
Kareth tried to fucking kill us all. You can choose what you want to do. You are in control of your life. So to try and take some of the power away from the gods.
All right, so Kareth has been reduced to a simple god of life, actually. In the Pantheon, Kareth is the god of life.
Yeah, can't kill anybody now, bitch, can you?
Yeah, so... And Kareth has no... Like, of all the religions of the wood, Kareth has no consciousness and no speaking. It's kind of like the
They're pretty close to being an animal.
Well, it's a very primal power, and it's pure life. But there's no, you never hear. Kareth never says a word, never communicates verbally, and you don't know. And like scholars discuss it at length. You don't know if Kareth feels like they were punished, or if or if something
I know.
happened to
I
cause
know the
Kareth
truth.
to become an unconscious source of power. Yeah, so let me just think here. So let's talk about Xion. Yeah. So so Xion, from with Xion's help, Gesmi quietly restores faith in the Pantheon. The work takes many years. But
Yeah, I'm trying to tear it down.
The work takes many years, but Xion knows he has all the time in the world. He can see his family, but he can't talk to them. After that first apparition that you did, all of your work is done in the shadows. You can take on bird forms. You can take on, the form of the Corvum, and you can fly. You can, you can influence those who are clerics. You can speak to the worshippers of Gesmi. They often bring you in as a speaker, as a mainline speaker for conventions and things, at the Gesmi conventions and stuff like that. So like Bible camp, sometimes you're there and you're like you shit on the person for fun. Yeah, no. But you do know that Fios, who always kind of had a harsh word for you because you were always getting in trouble in fights, for all of her harsh words, Fios goes to visit your family, and so it takes her many years before she gets there. But it turns out that
trying to fuck up the gods along the way.
Well, your parents were elderly, so your parents have already passed.
Oh, sad.
And so, in fact, Xion probably had a chance to say hi to them as they went to the next world, as a favor. Like Gesmi got this, Gesmi being the old death god, got this favor from Titan. Titan is the owl. Titan is the opposite of Ardea, who is the sun. Titan is the moon, and Titan is the overseer of the underworld, and the one that brings the fairies people over to the other side. And so, as a favor, you had a chance to speak to your parents. And so it turns out that your brother is well, and didn't turn out quite as badly as was hinted in that nightmare scenario going up the mountain. And in fact, your parents have grandchildren, and so the Tin Feather family seems to be doing well. Xion, do you want to say anything to your parents as they move along?
Well, I guess I see them. I just go over to Mom.
It's like a airport lounge.
Yeah.
Your mother's like, oh, my son, and your father's kind of hangs back, but he looks proud. He looks like he's proud of you.
I just go over to Mom and kiss her tenderly on the forehead. Then I go to Dad and just give him a big hug.
Yeah, in the afterlife, the red patches on her wings are clearly visible.
That's okay. That's what we want.
Mm-hmm.
Never hide those.
Yeah, so your father's like, you were right, my son. You were right. I'm proud of you. You must go now. And so off they go. So as Xion works for many, many years, the amaranthine trees bloom in all the places of worship in the land, and life is good for hundreds of years. So Fios, you want to travel the world and sort of spread so you want to spread the doctrine of worship is fine, but
power back
control?
to the people. Yes.
Okay.
Like you're not just ants in the gods' plaything,
Right. Okay. And does Fios stay with Daffodil, or do you just kind of
I don't think they ever have kids.
Well, this is Humblewood. You can have kids. So.
No, I don't think they do.
Oh, okay.
They just open up an orphanage.
Well, your little sisters will can carry on the family name as well. So, and your brothers. So, yeah. So you can become an auntie and a great auntie.
Basically, yeah. I take care of all the other skunk children. Wait a minute.
What?
How does a skunk and a raccoon?
It's because of the gods. Without the gods, you would not be able.
It's Humblewood, man. You have like a little.
It comes out as a raccoon or as a skunk?
It
You have a
comes
little
out as
skunk
Micah. Micah's
Yeah.
definitely the spawn of a skunk and a raccoon.
Because then
Oh, 'cause
300
she looks like a
years
raccoon, but
later,
she smells
we've
like a
got
skunk?
weird hybrids.
Yeah. You know, the hags can get you some babies. They got babies, all kinds of babies. You want a skunk baby? You want a raccoon baby? We got them all in jars. It's great. You just hatch them out.
Just add water like Martians.
That's going to be Wendy's. That's going to be Wendy's backstory. Where Wendy. We'll do Alejandro. So Alejandro, do you want to return to the monastery, where your legion has been left behind? You want to find out if they really did kill all of the sick and the dying?
I don't believe they did, but I'm feeling a little weirded out by them now. I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
just feeling.
But
I think-
Wendy wants to go back to the monastery and asks you to go with her.
Okay, I'll go then.
Yeah. So
She needs-
She needs to go get a shirt.
Where I think I want to end up is I think I want to stay in the Liblino Forest.
Ooh.
I think I want to be a guardian of the forest.
oh, cool with old Sharky.
Yeah, with old Sharky, exactly.
Yeah.
That I'll sort of assume the really kind of assume my role as the Green Knight, guardian of nature. And this seems like they're maybe lacking some people who died off recently. They could use new guardians, so I'm gonna stay behind here.
Oh, cool. Okay.
I'll go to the monastery.
Okay. Yeah. So heading back to the monastery, Sir Leonid is there, and having led the group, he's one of the immune to disease paladins. They were basically spent the past few months, keeping everyone alive, being good and pure of heart, and it seems like that again. That the notion that they were going to follow Kara's orders and purify the world was just another dark fantasy. So he's kind of proud of what you've done. Somehow everybody knows what you did, and he says, have you felt it? Have you felt it? Kareth is so much purer, is so much more of a raw power source. But many of the ancient oath paladins are kind of weirded out like you, and they sort of switch over to Henwin, who is the hedge god of nature, and Henwin is literally just a god of nature.
Okay.
And so they have the yellow rose, and so they go off and they sort of form an order called the Hedge Knights, although they're mostly strigs, but yeah. So Wendy heads back also with you, and Master Rogers is there. He's still kind of a large fox guy, but he's not at all as evil as he was, when you met him in the forest, and yeah. So the immune paladins and immune monks, because higher level monks are also immune to disease. I think they have the diamond body,
Right.
but I think it's much higher level. Managed to keep everyone alive. In fact, you even sent teams out, or the monks and the paladins sent teams out to nearby towns to help, and so that helped the Crane sisters to keep everybody alive in towns that were nearby, because the grove is not far from the monastery. And yeah, so Wendy decides to spend her life trying to atone for what she did, chasing down clues and leads to find out, what was behind the trafficking of young Gerbines, and so that's what she does. All right, so Alejandro decides to become the guardian of the green forest.
Cool.
So you would probably stay in touch with Theos over the years, because once in a while, you and Daffodil would come back to Nantaramba. She comes back to her hometown to visit and stuff like that.
Wait, does Alejandro and Arapisis hook up? She's a dryad now.
That's true. She's a string. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be very barky though.
She's the heart of the forest. So she's kind of like Gion, right? Like a disembodied god of nature, or basically like a fey spirit. You could totally switch your paladin to worship this. You could basically make your paladin gain his power from this forest.
From her, if you know what I mean.
Sure. Yeah, so Duff feels a little bit left out, but you do have that little flickering flame in your cage. So Duff, I figure that Duff wanders the world, glad of the weight lifted from his shoulders, but you still have trouble finding peace. what? So do you have any ideas of what you want to do? You know, over the next years of your life.
Well, I think Duff's probably gonna just travel around and sort of offer his services to help out wherever it's needed. He still has that sort of inner need to atone for his sin, even though he knows now that it wasn't him. But he spent that part of his life defined, or that event like really defined his whole life and who he became. So I think he's having a hard time shaking it, and still
Okay.
feels that.
Okay, so the
he's
years go by, you
responsible.
you grow in power, you have many adventures, but eventually you find yourself drawn back to the Neblina Forest because the three hags live there, and so you go to see the three hags, and the hags know that you are troubled,
Mm-hmm.
and so they look sympathetic. They're like, "We know that you're troubled, little one, although you're now not you're now a gray fox because you're getting older."
Oh.
And yeah, and so
Still
they
hot, though.
and so they
Silver
propose
fox?
they propose a bargain. They say, we've been speaking to somebody, and we think that under us you might not be very happy, and so if you'd like to make a bargain, we could hey Frank,
Hey, it's
Um,
Frank.
we could suggest a new patron for you, somebody that you might like better than us, and don't worry, we don't mind.
Oh, well, I don't. You've done a lot for me, so I don't want to.
Oh, we know, but you could do something for us as well.
Alright, well, what's the
Cage, that
catch?
cage that we gave you so many years ago. If you give the cage back to us, with everybody that's inside of it,
Oh.
Hmm.
we'll let you switch patrons. We have
Well, and who
plans
do
for
you
that. We have
propose I
plans for
switch
that little
to?
Fire Lord. I'm sorry.
And who do you propose I switch to?
Well, obviously it would be Arpistis, the heart of the forest.
Is that something Duff wants to
Yeah,
do?
absolutely. You could. The Arpistis would be a Fey Lord. Yeah, a Fey patron.
Alright. Well, I will give you back your cage as you gave it to me. With the three or the two guys inside. But the little fire, the flame in there is something I want to take with me, as it's very important.
Very well. You drive a hard bargain, and so all three of them reach out and ask for you to hand over the cage.
Alright, Duff.
And this is
Duff
many
gives it
years
to me.
later.
Okay, so there's at least a bond and a trust between them. Yeah, Duff will hand
Yeah,
it over.
and so the ground shakes, and blind Sharky comes out of the ground, and there's a paladin riding on blind Sharky, and it's Alejandro.
Whoa! Hello, old friend.
And so Alejandro, you have been told by Arpistis that you've come to fetch a new friend of the forest.
Aw. How are
We all
you?
reunite every so often.
So you're not super surprised to see that it's Duff, but he looks good. He's a little gray. He's a little grayer. But then
looking kind of grizzled.
yeah. But then yeah. So is you. You're not as heavily armored as you used to be. Don't need it. But you still feel good. All right. So Wendy. So I'll paraphrase.
I don't know what's going on.
All right. So after the battle,
Everybody's dead. We all died.
after the
Oh,
battle,
well, died? Okay, that's
after
easy.
the battle, you all regrouped. You carried Gian outside into the sunlight. You buried him on the mountainside. The Nantarombans flew there. So you were gone for like a month or more. Yeah, the Nantarombans flew up the mountain in their dirigible, and there was a reunification. And so they said people are starting to wake up. Everything seems to be going well. And so, what does Wendy want to do? Do you want to go back to the monastery to see what really happened over there?
Well, I want to go back to the monastery and get rid of the birds there because those chickens were a problem, and I need to put Master Rogers in his place. Like, 'cause that's just no way to run a monastery. I'm gonna take over.
Alejandro goes with you because he wants to check up on the legion of paladins that was also left at your monastery. And so when you go there, you find everybody seems to be okay. Master Rogers is there. So is Sir Leonid, the evil, paladin that you fought in the forest. So you realize very quickly that all of that what happened in the forest were more like dark dreams than what really happened than the reality. And so it turns out that all of the immune paladins spent all of their time, keeping everyone alive and traveling to nearby towns and helping people stay alive. Some of the monks are immune too, because I think at higher levels monks become immune to disease. I think.
Yeah, actually, at 10th level, I'm immune to disease.
Yeah, so you're all 10th level now. So there are fewer monks who are immune because it's a much higher level ability. And so Master Rogers is very happy to see you. Somehow everybody knows what happened. And Master Rogers says, "You've done us proud, Wendy, just as I've always said."
Okay.
Yeah, so Alejandro
He's
decides
he's kind of disappointed. He was pining for a fight.
you wanted to go kick Master Rogers' ass again, yeah.
I'm a little suspicious of Master Rogers there.
Yeah.
Master Rogers' neighborhood.
Yeah, he notices. He says, "Oh, I see that you have the arm wraps that I sent to you. Excellent."
Oh, you didn't want those back, I hope.
Well, no, they're a gift for you, obviously. Yeah, so just a lot of kindness there.
Okay, that's great. You really should switch it up a bit and start wearing just pants. It's like Stoker.
He's like, no, I want my junk to be out there. Yeah, so
That'd be the problem.
so I feel
I'm
like
gonna
Wendy.
extend my sack into different objects.
Oh, you mean like for the the Tanuki who have the magical ability to change their scrotum into objects. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, good times. So I figured that Wendy still feels some kind of residual guilt over the whole trafficking of gerbine babies in jars, and so I feel like Wendy probably spends the next part of her life chasing down clues and leads to find the ones responsible for trafficking the young gerbs.
I'm sure I know who it is. It's those birds that Duck was worshiping or whatever.
Yeah, so as the years go by, you sort of like work your way up, and you find out that it was actually a coven of hags living in the Lake Tree Empire, who are making clones. Those little babies are the clones of rich people that they're sending back to them. So you realize in the end that what you were doing wasn't horribly wrong, but the ethical implications of cloning people still troubling.
Yeah, that's even worse. I'd rather them be like snacks, like I assumed.
Yeah. So and so is there anything else that you do as the years go by? Your friend Alejandro eventually decides to become the protector of the Neblina Forest. He becomes a full green knight. Fios travels the world, goes to visit Gion's parents to give them the news. Well, to tell them how he ended his life, or how his life went, or what he did. What else is there? Duff kind of wanders the world as well. Who else do we have? Have I forgotten anyone? No, I guess not.
No, I figured that I would want to eventually take over when Master Rogers decides to, shuffle off his mortal coil and
Monk's little boy.
Hang his sack.
Well, I mean, he gets to choose. He's a monk. He gets to choose when. He just goes into the dust, I guess, because
When he dies.
And then I would take over as the wise old monk.
All right.
And
So
Marquette.
So this you do, and it takes many years. So the amaranthine trees flower across the land. Everywhere that these gods are worshipped, the amaranthine trees will appear, and the color of their flowers will reflect the whole pantheon, but also those who the mostly those who worship the tree uh, locally. And so a priest of Henman would have yellow flowers, and a priest of Ardea would have white flowers, and Titan, black starry flowers, things like that.
There's no purple Armantine tree yet.
Um, so 300 years ago, Kryn is also in the pantheon as sort of a trickster god, but not evil like he is portrayed in the current day.
No, he's misunderstood. There's no evil.
Exactly. Yeah. So the years go by. People live their lives as they do, and 100 years pass, and everyone's living their lives. The Snow King invades from the northeast. The folk levy an army and fight him back. Of particular note are the Hedge Knights of the Ancient Oath, who crushed the Snow King in the field of battle in the Crest Mountains overlooking Elderheart. Another 100 years pass, and this time it's war between the Council of Wizards and the Avium. Great swaths of forest are destroyed, but again, after a short war, peace returns. 100 years pass. No, hang on, 100 years. During this time, the Alder Empire kind of solidifies and becomes the de facto ruling, and it actually becomes the tree where they all live at the center of the Alder Empire becomes Alderheart, and becomes the place where the birds roost and benevolently rule the whole land. Another 100 years. But then, so all of your characters are pretty much safely dead by now. If you've had families, you have children. I feel like anyone staying in the Neblina might still be alive because time flows weirdly in that place, and it's an ancient place. Although time,
Wendy too, right?
Well, Wendy, yeah, well, because monks can live. I think monks can they just live? No, I think they live. They live to the end of their lifespan, and then they just die.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they get like some powers around that. Let me check.
Yeah, so I don't know.
I think they just stop aging at a certain point, and they just decide, well, I'm done.
Yeah, because there are no elves. There are no centuries old. I think hedges live the longest, and they can live like 100 and some years. Yeah, so time keeps going. I'm just going to. Yeah, and so so about 100 years before present day, so about 230 years after the events of Harper's Tale, something happens in the Lake Tree Empire, and there's a great fire, and everything burns, and even the river and the lake of the Lake Tree Empire dries up, and there is sort of a new threat. The forest tenders and the hedge knights and the Alder Empire fight back and manage to hold the fire at bay. But just a second, I just want to see what this is going to look like. I'm going to go. But in the end, the lake tree becomes the scorched grove, and it's just this big valley of burnt trees, and we kind of time moves forward. The fire is beaten back, but the scorched grove never grows back, and the rivers never reappear, and then we kind of cruise into modern day, and Humblewood as it is now. With the bird folk kind of ruling from Elderheart. Meadowfen, the quiet town where most of your characters came from, is there. And only in the few years before this has the fire returned. And even in the past year, the fires are spreading towards Elderheart again. And so, you guys know that Alar has returned, but again found in a cave, locked away behind a magic circle, and so we'll have to imagine what Duff did all of those years, and how Alar ended up in a cave in Oakbridge. 300 years after the events of Harper's Tale.
I think it's like that sequence in is it Return of the King where you see the ring falling into the.
That's right. It passed into history.
Passing into history and things are happening. Yeah.
Well, I'm pretty sure that Alar might have something to do with Bonnie's death.
With whose death? Sorry.
Oh shit!
Bonnie.
Sorry, I didn't hear what you
Bonnie,
said.
Bonnie.
Oh wow. Okay. Cool.
There's some tie there.
That's cool. Just keep it. It's Doob's dead girlfriend. That's Nico's
And Bard.
Nico's Black Mouse Bard. Yeah.
I'm excited to witness what kind of like visions I'm gonna get.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. So I wanted to end the game by the stream tonight, Frank, by 10 p.m. because I want to watch the beginning of Critical Role, just because they're going to be running. Well, I think they're running an ad for the Kickstarter that I'm helping to support. So.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
Yeah. So.
He
So
doesn't
modern
like us
day.
that much.
So if you guys would like, we can do that. I can transplant that murder mystery village thing from Harper's Tale for you guys to do at your with your characters from the Fab Fire 4 game. And that would be the introduction of all your characters to each other, and yeah.
I'm easy. Whatever you think.
Yeah. So what I think happens is
We're
you
right
guys,
here first.
if you
That
guys-
is easy.
because you guys slew the dragon, and you're like, okay, we're gonna go into its lair and collect its unprotected treasure, ha ha ha! And you go into the lair, and then poof, magical something happens, and then you all wake up. You all wake up in the same place, someplace else, and then we can have this, and then you guys can just get back on track or whatever you want to do. So.
You mean we were on a
I
track?
don't know you, but somehow I trust you implicitly.
Yeah, that's right. You were trying to find the Borealis. Remember the
Yeah.
weapon
We're
used
in
to
the
destroy
boonies.
the fire, the aspect of fire.
I feel like
Yeah,
I've
you're-
never hear any sort
Yeah,
of.
you're like way up there. So I mean,
Yeah.
magic can teleport you places. So because Nico and Catherine's characters are way over here in Smallwood, 6 months later.
Underground.
So yeah. But also, you guys are like in a weird dungeon too, so you guys could also be teleported to a place.
It's happened
Pocket
before.
dimensions. If it works on Doctor Who.
It'll be like a holodeck.
Smiling out
All right.
portals.
So can we? So was that okay? Sort of as a closer for your characters? Is there anything you
Yes.
want to do differently? You can totally roll that back. Make
No, I
it
think
more
that was
epic or
great.
less epic, or yeah.
I'm not sure that in any D&D game before I've ever had like that epic sort of like, and here's how their life, the arc of their life.
Yeah, our burning of the Shard moment.
No, because I was kind of thinking, wouldn't it be cool if Wendy and Alejandro kind of went off together and did sort of a Legolas and Gimli,
Oh,
manly romance, but
then I wrecked it.
Okay.
yeah. But
I'm not
Wendy
ready to
Wendy
burn.
is in the wind temple is just is like 1 day away from the Neblina forest, so you can stay in touch. Do your characters have any reunions? Do you have like annual reunions or anything like that?
Maybe
like
not
an
annual, but
anniversary?
I think
Or the
About every
anniversary
2 years,
of
get
Shion's
together.
each
death?
other again.
Yeah.
And whenever, when people die, we, go,
Yeah.
we somehow we know and we meet up.
And you just go and you say a few words because it's your job. Yeah.
Every 2 years we get
I
together. in
have
Las
to.
Vegas.
It's my job.
Yeah.
So I looked it up at 15th level. You no longer suffer any of the effects of aging. You can still die of old age, but you just no longer. So that means I'm going to be foxy forever.
Nice.
So foxy. Get the fuck out of here, Duff.
Firm and foxy. Good stuff. Yeah, so well, what do you got? Well, what would you guys do like in a 10-year anniversary when you get back together? Do any of you have children?
Fuck shit
I
up.
don't think
I don't think I would.
Doug
I
is
wonder if Duff would like have a long line, and then that's one of his ancestors got reconnected with Alar somehow, and then that is who killed Bonnie as a way to tie them all.
I was gonna say
together.
that's a hard one to tie in because Doug's character is a hedge who found him in a cave, like in a totally different part of Yeah. So,
But you know what?
Maybe
Richard's
Doug
trying very hard
killed
to-
Bonnie. Did Doug kill Bonnie?
it's really hard to push the time stream, you know.
trying to warp it. So like, oh god, we need a lard to get to there.
Yeah, there's a scene in Legion, that show I was telling you about, where you know, he freezes, like something happens and the bad guy bursts into the room with the Tommy gun and opens fire and the bullets spray out, and then the Legion guy screams and his psychic power freezes time, and then they're like inside a mind palace, and they're all talking to each other like, how do we fix this, you know? And they can manifest and try to. It's like, we can't. There's too much energy. We can't push the bullets out of the way. It hurts, you know. And so it's yeah. This is, I'm trying to like push the story along so that Alara can be. Yeah. No, at this point, I want Alara to be small and insignificant. Because when yeah.
Maybe his fire rage has like gone out of control. It's something beyond him now.
Well, I think there are just, you know, competing fire demons that are trying to burn this world, and so that's.
Yeah.
I'm gonna burn it. No, I'm gonna burn it. No,
But I want to
There's
tie
there's
it
Allegro.
because I want to tie it into the Snow Queen. Because in the Forest Tales game that Nico and Catherine were playing in, there were like premonitions that the Snow Queen was coming.
Oh.
So,
Yes.
you know, which is clearly it's either the daughter or the granddaughter or whatever of the Snow King who attacked 200 years ago. Always coming from the north, from the Crest Mountains. Okay.
So we're gonna start up next week with the other game in the other.
Yeah, so I think I'll just have all of you kind of like wake up like, you know, in an inn in this village, and
So we don't get to explore the.
no dragon's treasure for you, motherfucker.
Oh, so sad. I was
yeah.
hoping to make some puppets.
And you guys are saddled with these like lower level.
Character.
Oh no,
Characters.
Charles's personality makes up for all of that.
Good times, yeah.
Yeah, Alva's personality's not. Yep, she's awkward as fuck.
Well, can she help with a puppet show? That's all I worry about.
She probably would, yeah.
Great, so I have to entertain the kids, right?
You can put puppets on my horns if you want.
What are we gonna do with two bards?
Two bards is already too many.
Like, is this like Highlander?
Dude's not a very good bard.
One of them pretends to be a singer, and the other one refuses to sing. So yeah.
There can only be one.
I don't sing, I just do puppet shows. That's all I do. That's my bardic ability.
Oh yes.
And Dude doesn't play his bagpipe because he only plays it for Bonnie.
And she's fucking dead.
And she's dead.
She's dead.
So he's a pretty shitty bard.
I do have a spare bagpipe if you need it.
But of course you do. Why wouldn't you?
Do you have little darts I could put in it so you could shoot it?
Oh, that'd be awesome, yeah.
No, you need to shoot out small puppets out of the bagpipe.
You want the bagpipe?
You put little puppets in the pipes, and when you press it, they shoot out.
That'd be awesome.
Just gonna show you guys the characters that are in. Oh god, okay. So there's Dude the Black Mouse, and there's Alba the pronghorn servant. This is oh my god, I'm forgetting her name. Cruella. No, not Cruella. It's is her name Cruella? No.
No, it's like Priscilla or
Starts with an M.
Morticia.
Morticia. Yeah, Morticia, the hedge wild magic sorcerer. Yeah.
I'm sorry, this looks.
She's the one who left the game. Yeah.
This looks weird because you made me look way too cool.
And here's the party. Compared to these fucking guys. When last we saw these guys, this was them in the snow. So Intense character is this partridge here. Doug's character is this hedge warlock. with a tiny imp that looks like a naked mole rat with wings. It's in second character, which I guess you're gonna have to give one up. It's in, or he can just be in the background. But yeah, is this Moose Original? This was Mike's character when he plays. This was his character, Doctor Who. I know. And then here's Charles, no pants.
Yeah, of course.
And he has a puppet. And he has a puppet of a chicken and a puppet of a corvum. The corvum is dressed up like the lord of the town that they were in. So yeah.
I've got the puppet.
That's right. You cosplayed your character last Halloween, didn't you? Yeah.
I did. Well, no, for a party actually.
Yeah.
But I have. There we go, Rose the chicken.
Oh my god.
And then this is what Lord Red Feather as a parody of Lord Black Feather. I got the sticks and everything.
Okay.
Great.
Yeah.
Oh my god,
and
you're
they
brilliant.
have a pack mole. What was your pack mole's name, guys?
Oh yeah, the people.
Nordwick.
Sir Cheddar. Yeah.
Pete.
Is it Pete?
Pete
the pack
Packmole,
mole.
over and down.
Yeah. And Charles the Vulpin has a gerbine head on a stick that he uses. It's a hag's magic item that he found that you can you can look through its eyes by holding it out. Yeah, it's like a periscope. Yeah.
I use it when my spectral hand does it.
Yeah, so there you go.
I still think the best scene is the one where they're all over me and we're fighting the Yetis.
Oh yeah.
The one I got really mangled on that one and almost died.
I mean, you almost died every session, but yeah.
Is that the one where I was flying around refusing to get hit?
I don't remember.
That's every fight. Every fight you cast. This is the warlock. He can cast two spells. He casts fly up into the air, and then he casts invisibility or darkness, so that he can not be seen. And then
One
it's just
fireball.
Eldritch Blast. And then it's just
One fireball and then Eldritch Blast. It's great.
Oh, that's right. We got two fireballs at Lobber in this party.
That's right. Yeah.
I'm a clear of light, so I actually have fire magic.
I'm just a druid, you know. Just kind of
Funny,
ditzy.
funny.
Kind of dumb, just kind of ditzy.
Here's the one where they were fighting the Yetis. Yeah, that was a good fight. I think Pete was also knocked out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was.
Yeah. Yeah, and the partridge was just like, because the Yetis hit you with a paralyzing roar, and then he was paralyzed, and the Yeti came in and auto critted him 2 times, and blood on the snow. It's just like blood partridge. Yeah. So yeah.
Oh yeah,
that's right. Oh, yeah,
There's Charles like stabbing the Yeti and using a puppet. So,
yeah, that's right. Vignale fights with them
As
all.
you do.
yeah. And the imp is called Riesling, and he hates his master, which is normal. So, well, he pretends to hate you anyway. Could mean anything.
We have a charming relationship. It's kind of an odd couple thing.
Yeah. So do we want to switch over to the Critical Role stream pretty soon, or
Are we actually doing a live party for that? Well, it's playing now. It's live now, but it's just
but it's the art reel, yeah. So because they're gonna start talking like right at 9.
Yeah,
10
so
o'clock.
I'll raid them and then we'll just go off our stream. But we can stay on
Pretty much.
Zoom and stuff if you guys want to still hang out and watch.
Whoever watched, thanks for watching.
So hopefully people who watched it liked it, and hopefully people watched it.
The end.
Next week, it's a bit tricky for me because I've got to go in to have my finger biopsied at 5
On what day?
on the Thursday.
Oh, thank God it's on Wednesday. I was like, you can't do this, Nico!
Okay.
You
There's
can't!
9 others though, right?
At least, yeah.
We'll call you Frodo of the 9 fingers. Well, in that case, do you want to skip next Thursday?
But I mean, I can. The thing is, I don't know what. He's often very, very, very late. So by 5, it could be like 6:30. So it's hard to say, and I have to phone before. So like, I can always just like tune in on my phone and talk just without the video. Like I can still participate and listen.
Yeah, we're not going to do
Because
that.
the appointment itself.
Why
will just be 10
why don't we skip next week? We haven't skipped a week in a long time, so you know. And Catherine's going to be at a cottage next week, so I suspect that it might be less optimal anyway. Although if you don't want to miss the Wednesday game, right? Because you want to find out what happened to poor people.
I'll fucking kill you.
I made Catherine cry yesterday, so yeah.
Well, that's not like it's hard.
Well, I made myself cry today, so yeah. Yeah.
All right, rating Critical Role with 3 people.
Here you go.
So we just rated them, and they're going to be like, "Thanks for rating us, people." They have like 26,000 people are watching their the art reel right now.
What is rating?
When you
people over.
yeah.
When you end your stream, your stream just kind of automatically just goes into someone else's stream. So if you were watching Nico's stream, it is now on Critical Role.
Oh no, I didn't bring it. I didn't get my other computer.
Wow.